Hello everybody and welcome back to what will probably be either the last or second to last Battlefield 6 video until the game actually launches in October this year. And I wanted to end off these couple of BF6 videos with my overall thoughts of what should be changed or adjusted going forward for the launch of the game. Now, of course, a lot of things I may mention today might have already been adjusted internally on DICE's end. It's just we're playing an older build in the beta, but I still think it's a fun idea to go through and see what could be tweaked to make the gameplay experience a little bit more fun or make the game a tiny bit less frustrating. Overall, though, I've got to preface this with saying Battlefield 6 is absolutely incredible. I'm really enjoying this title. I put 25 hours into it over the beta weekend on PC and on PS5. It runs like a dream, especially on console. If you plug it into a 120Hz monitor, you can output it at 120Hz, I believe. At least that's what my monitor read it as, so that's really cool. And the game is just a ton of fun. But that being said, there are some things that I'd like to see adjusted for the main launch. Before we get into this, only 25% you actually sub to the channel, and chances are if you're here for Battlefield, you haven't seen me before. So please feel free to stick around for both flat screen games like Battlefield and VR content. And thank you to our patrons and members who are on screen right now. With that being said, let's get stuck in, shall we? Okay, this first one might be like I'm preaching to the choir here, but we need a server browser and a persistent server browser. Now, one of these things is going to happen most likely. The devs have been talking about implementing a server browser so you can jump into a game in progress, but I don't think we'll get persistent servers for BF6, but I wish that we did. Essentially how it works now is that the game spins up a server, the match is played, and then it spins it back down again and starts another one for another match as you matchmake again. Unfortunately, this has the side effect of giving you the same map over and over again. I spent 3 hours with one of my mates who hasn't played a Battlefield game since Battlefield 1, and I wanted to show him all of the maps, especially on Breakthrough since he really likes that mode, and we played for 3 hours on Breakthrough and only got Cairo and Liberation Peak, not Gibraltar once, which is a bit of an issue in terms of matchmaking there. Now, I'm sure there's some back-end things that they can tweak to make sure that it tries to put you into a different map afterwards to mix things up, but persistent servers would just fix this, because the chance of the persistent server spinning up the same map again is slim to none. However, I just don't really see this happening. A server browser, though, that they've mentioned would be great, because then at least you can pick a game in progress that maybe isn't too far in, and then you can actually pick which map you want to play on. Also with a server browser, I hope they re-add the ability to join as a spectator. I love spectator cam in Battlefield 5 and 1. In fact, here's some footage from an old short film that I made. In the game's spectator mode, I absolutely love this feature, so I really hope they reintroduce this back into the franchise. One feature I really want from Battlefield 5 and Battlefield 1 is the ability to party up with more than 4 people. That doesn't mean squads larger than 4 if that's the dynamic they're aiming for, but allow us to party up with more friends so that we can join together and join the same game. We don't have to be in the same squad. There can be a squad of 4 and then a squad of however many are left over with maybe 1 or 2 randoms, but as long as we're in the same game, on the same team, that would be fantastic. This currently isn't a thing and I wish it was. We had it in all the titles, why not in BF6? One thing that I might directly like to see removed, to be honest, is the Assault Sling. So the Assault class has a weapon sling where they can have 2 primaries, but it has to be, say, an assault rifle and a shotgun. That's alright, but the shotgun is incredibly powerful. Even after its nerf after this beta, I imagine it still will be a viable weapon, and I just think for a class to have 2 primaries is a bit much for a game like Battlefield. And for me, it's just not really a necessary addition. Building on that, shotguns are just too strong, but the devs have already fixed that. Apparently this build is a little bit older, and it's the same build as the Curator reveal, so the incredibly strong shotgun from that build is still in the game, but for launch, hopefully, I think we should have shotguns that are a lot more balanced and won't one-shot you from, 20 meters away, so that's already taken into consideration. Air vehicles for me need a bit of work done to them as well. I enjoyed playing with ground vehicles. They felt as great as they always have, especially the small Jeeps feel really good to drive now. Leagues better than the Jeeps in 2042, but air vehicles, especially helicopters, need quite a bit of work done to them. Same with jets. They just feel, I don't know, a little bit floaty. I don't know if they're quite dialed in properly, and helicopters are quite easy to destroy. Especially with ground-to-air missiles, I think it takes 1 missile to take them down, whereas in the past it would take 2. With things like RPGs, sure, that's a one-hit kill because it needs more precision, you should be rewarded for that, but for the lock-on ground-to-air missiles, it should take 2, I think. And I'm someone who complained a lot about being absolutely destroyed by helicopters in BF4 and BF 2042, especially at launch, but these helicopters here just feel a bit underpowered. Their control scheme also didn't really gel with me at all, but I can't really pinpoint a certain thing that made me feel that way, it just wasn't that intuitive. Now, I spoke on the Commorose system in my last Battlefield 6 video, and some people made some really good points there. So, for example, the Commorose system, I pointed it out as being a good way to, thank medics when you've been revived. And it is here, but it doesn't show up in the actual feed in the top right, or it doesn't tell the medic that just revives you, that you said thanks, which is just something that the older games used to do and adds a bit of camaraderie and community to the game, and I wish we had it here. But also, the Commorose system used to have request order as well, which was in Battlefield 5, Battlefield 1, 2042 even had this as well, and if your squad leader didn't place an order within 60 seconds, then squad lead would be transferred over to you, so you could place orders. This just encourages a bit more team play and squad play, and prioritizing different objectives, and I wish that we had it here. Same with the rest of the Commorose system, I wish they showed up in the top right, because it just allows you to communicate with other nearby players asking for a lift or asking for ammo, because at the moment, if you ask for ammo, your character says the voice line, but nothing really shows up visually to show that you need ammo from other players, so I think this needs a little bit of work. I also think we need an option for most game modes, locked or non-locked weapons for classes, because honestly for 90% of my playtime here, aside from one breakthrough session, I was just playing closed weapons, and I wish we had an option for Domination, King of the Hill, and breakthrough closed weapons on the game's launch. I understand not doing it here during the beta because it'll dilute the player pool a bit too much, but it just feels so much better with class-locked weapons, like the old days, honestly. I would also absolutely love to see some more dynamic weather and events like that. For the 3 maps that we have, there's no like rolling storms or rain or even cloud change to really change the dynamic of how the maps feel. One of the great things about even the 2042 maps, but the 5 and 1 and 4 maps, is that they change dynamically. You know, you can get storms roll in and that changes how the map feels completely. You can get sunny or cloudy, and it really influences the mood of the match, and I hope we get a bit more of that going forward. As somebody who's played a lot of the Assault class over the last weekend of the beta, I've got to say, I absolutely love the grenade launchers. They make me feel disgustingly overpowered at times, but I think the stun for soldiers when the flame grenade launcher makes impact should be maybe adjusted, shortened, or maybe removed entirely. I just feel like if you shoot a flame grenade launcher into an area, you're going to do some damage no matter what, and especially when it does damage after you've left the area of flame, because you're still on fire, obviously. I just feel like that stun that makes you not able to sprint just slows down the pace and becomes frustrating unnecessarily. Some people may disagree with me on that, and this is coming from somebody who uses it against other players a lot. Many of the clips you'll see on screen today is me using both grenade launchers and absolutely loving it, but they are incredibly strong, especially with that stun. Now finally, I just want to point out a couple of bugs that I ran into. Some I'll have footage for, some I won't. I was on slightly unstable ping at a certain time because I was on a different Wi-Fi network than I was supposed to be on. I wasn't on Ethernet. The game kind of had a fit, for lack of a word, with the animations when I started to throw a grenade, and it ended up looking like this. So not quite sure how that can be fixed, but yeah, I ran into that issue a couple of times. But that was only on an unstable network. I've had a couple of lighting issues where shadows would kind of go wrong, is all I can really say. They would go all over the map, a little bit like 2042's beta, but this really only happened once or twice. And I have had a couple of matchmaking issues where I've loaded into a match and the party members I'm with just haven't. Or we load into a match, complete it, load out, and then we're stuck in an infinite loading screen and have to close the game and go back into the queue, which is a bit frustrating. All these things though can be ironed out for launch, and some of the other points that I've made are subjective. So some of you may not agree. If you've got any other thoughts, leave them down below. Overall, I've got to say, Battlefield 6 is looking great. I think we have a real banger here. I've not played a Battlefield game this immersive and fun in quite a long time. Feels like the best bits of 2042, 5, 1 and 4 all rolled together, and sure it has a couple of issues and pitfalls, but it's nothing that can't be ironed out, and I hope this video has helped a little bit to highlight a couple of areas that I feel need some work. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next one.